Yeah, I mean, it's valuable as far as your experience and be able to tell guys about it. But I feel like around this time, every year is different. Each team is different. And right now, all 32 teams really feel like this is their year and this is their chance to win. But just from my experience, just to really taking it one step at a time, embracing every moment. And it's all about being consistent in your approach and your attitude that you bring to work every day. And the key thing about it, and your good football teams, they have a great locker room, they communicate well together, and they're consistent. And that's what we want to work and build here.
Is that maybe more valuable, the fact that you have been able to get there, as opposed to actually the playoff experience, but you know what it takes to get to the playoffs and you can pass that on to these young guys?
Yeah, it's ways. I just feel like when you play in this league long, it's always knowledge that you can pass on, because it was guys before me that passed me that same knowledge. And I wouldn't be doing any justice if I try to keep it to myself. So I'm always here to help out in any way, but I'm also willing to learn as well. I feel like I can learn from a younger guy, just what I see on film. If there's anything that he can help me out with, I feel like that's where we're in the business of communicating. That's why I said communication is key. I mean, we got a lot of talent, a lot of great players, but now our job now is to put it together and just keep laying that foundation down. And that's what you appreciate about OTAs and minicamp, because they allow us to build that bond, allow us to build that chemistry. And OTAs, minicamp is at the end. This was a start for us. Now training camp, we want to build on that. And our main goal is to keep our arrow going up and not get too far ahead of ourselves, trying to predict things, but try to conquer the day each time we step on the football field.
Do you laugh to yourself, or whatever? What's your reaction, I guess, when you hear guys get ahead of themselves and talk about Super Bowl and playoffs? A couple of times you said, it's a day-by-day thing. So, do you tell those guys you kind of slow it down a little bit?
No, I mean, that's your goal. I mean, if you're not thinking to win the Super Bowl, if that's not your goal, then you're in the wrong business. But it's easy to say it, but it's one thing to come out and prove it, show it. So that's our main thing. Is like, of course, we know our goals, and then we don't have to blast it out and tell everyone our goals. We know what our goals are, and we know what we're trying to do here. So now it's all about laying that foundation down and building on that.
That's Morgan Burnett, the defensive back for the Cleveland Browns. I discovered something a couple of years ago. You saw in the background they were indoors, and they had a field there. And the field, because of the size of the building, only goes 70 yards. So I determined that they practice there all the time. That's exactly why they had trouble in the red zone.
They have no red zone, right?
You don't have. So how can you practice it?
They need another building for the red zone.
30 yards.
They take them across the street into the red zone building.
You got to the 29-yard line. Let's go across the street. Absolutely. But he brings up a great point, Morgan Burnett does, and that is that when I think of potential trouble this year, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but one of the big questions I have is the head coach, his first-year head coach, taking on the role of offensive coordinator, which he had last year, but play calling also. So I would say we don't have any book on Freddie Kitchens. Yeah. But the other thing is you have so many young players that very few of them have been to the playoffs. So if you get there toward the end, let's say you get to game 12 out of 16, and you need leadership of people who've been there, done that. Browns don't really have that.
Yeah, you're right. And one of the things with Freddie Kitchens is usually a new coach takes over a team that has very little talent, and that's why they got rid of the previous coach.
It has a couple of years to get it going.
And no expectations for the coming season. Freddie's taken his first job as a team that, they have like the third best odds to get to the Super Bowl in the AFC. So that's a lot of pressure before you even start the season.
Well, you said his first job. It may be his only one if it doesn't work out.
Possibly, yeah. Although I think he'd have to be really awful not to have a second year here. But I mean, it just puts so much focus on this team, and with a head coach that's never done this before, that's another one of the variables in this season.